I was thinking about you in the shower. It turns out AI is a lot better at trading than humans are. As a new grad, you can make, a little over 500,000 a year. You can make your own luck. You warp reality to what you want.
This is the Pass the Pitch podcast with Anna Frazzetto. Each episode, we sit down with bold thinkers and industry trailblazers to uncover the strategies, stories, and sparks of inspiration that drive growth and transformation. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome to Pass the Pitch. We are well into season 3, and I'm thrilled today because I get to have Aaron Wang, who is the co-founder and CEO of Alex.com. So Alex.com is the leading AI agent platform for staffing firms. Alex AI does busy work for recruiters like phone screens, video interviews, reviewing resumes, and building shortlists. Now, come on, who doesn't need that kind of help? Last year, Alex AI raised $20 million to build the best AI for the staffing industry. It's backed by leaders such as OpenAI, Y Combinator, and others. And before before working at Alex AI, Aaron was an AI researcher at Facebook. So Aaron, welcome to the show.
Excited to be here. I think we're going to have a lot of fun today, Anna.
Yeah, we are. Why don't we just jump right in? Typically, I like to kind of start with a little bit of a kind of leadership oriented question and a little bit about decision making. So maybe you can kind of talk a little bit about what's the best business decision you almost didn't make and what you pushed so that you could overcome that edge.
Yeah, it's maybe less of a business decision, but more of a life decision.
Ah,
I think so. Yeah, as you mentioned before this, I was an AI researcher at Facebook, and in between then, I was actually working in the hedge fund space for a bit, essentially applying AI to the financial markets. It turns out AI is a lot better at trading than humans are, and so
go figure.
yeah, you can make a good amount of money doing that. Even as a new grad, you can make a little over 500,000 a year. And the best decision I made was to say, look, like, you know, let's leave that and let's go start a company. And so we started this company, Alex, with a buddy of mine from college, and it turns out most things in life aren't as risky as they seem, right? What's the worst case that can happen? And so we started the company a little over a year and a half ago, and it's been a really really fun journey. And I know you would relate to this a lot. Having I think we both share the fact that we studied math and computer science in college, but neither of us probably spend a lot of time doing that today. Certainly, I don't spend any time doing math or computer science today. A lot of it is managing folks and revenue and sales and things like that. And it's been a lot of fun.
Oh my goodness. So a couple of things I want to make sure that I unpack this for the audience. The math and science, you're absolutely right. I'm going to work my way backwards here. But I do say I am grateful for the Math and Science Foundation because I do think it teaches you to think a certain way. And I think it helps in the business development process and also in starting a company. The one question or the analogy I wanted to share with you is when you said about like sometimes the changes in life are not as severe or as major as you think, but it's our own personal hesitation that kind of keeps us from taking that jump and doing it. I equate it to when you take that first step off of a zip line and you're standing out there and you're ready to go and you're all hooked up, and then all of a sudden it's that sinking feeling inside of you going, oh my god, I have to literally step off and trust that all of this is going to keep me up. But it's that jump that makes you a successful business owner, right? It's that jump that you take. So I love that it can come to life that way.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a superpower as well, because if you work in an industry, we work really closely with staffing leaders that you and I are both familiar with. It's most people don't have a background in math or computer science, or if you're managing a sales team and they don't They don't necessarily have a background that's particularly technical. That's kind of your edge and your superpower. And if you can do a better job in understanding processes and looking around the corner in a way that other folks can't, that becomes your superpower. That becomes your edge. And I'm sure you share in that stance as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. I do think it kind of gives you, I had a mentor in life once tell me, um, geez, you really should have went into more, like marketing or sales instead of computer science and math because you have such a natural progression to that. I said, but I couldn't get from point A to point B if I didn't do what I did. Right. So to your point, it is a superpower because I think it enables me to have more complicated conversations that a lot of people can't have. Let me ask you this, Aaron. What's one underrated skill or trait that more people in sales or leadership should master? It's one of my favorite questions.
We have a saying internally at this, at our company. We had our company kickoff earlier this week, being the start of 2026. And a big theme of that was warping reality, right?
Wow.
And what we mean by that is it turns out most things are in life, most things around us were built by people no smarter than us, no more talented than us. They just maybe worked a little bit harder than us, and they had a little bit more determination and grit, right? Um, and and the way you warp reality, right, to kind of get what you want is to make your own luck, right? Most things in life, you have a lot more control over than you think you do. And if you can really understand, okay, like, let me make sure that I'm making my own luck every single day, whether that's making, that one more outbound call, right? Making my subject line just a little bit better, right? Making that one more LinkedIn post to grab even more engagement, right? From a sales or business development point of view. Uh, those things compound. You can make your own luck. You warp reality to what you want and do that over time, and you end up with incredible results.
Yeah. So that reminds me of like creative thinking, right? You're not limiting, you're not creating boundaries for yourself. The worst thing that I can hear when I work in companies is, oh, well, we've always done it that way. Or we can't do that. It's never been done before. It's like testing those boundaries. I think it kind of, I love that warping reality. I'm going to start sealing it. Aaron, you're going to hear it. It'll probably be on a LinkedIn post coming soon. How do you keep your team motivated when results aren't coming as fast as expected, especially with the startup? There's a lot of ups and downs. I've been in that space, and you could be riding the highest of waves, and then you feel like you've had a cliff dive. How do you manage that?
Yeah, I think I can provide two analogies that I think are useful, and both are related to essentially risk management. Um, the first is from poker, and that is, I when I grew up, I loved playing poker. I went to Brown, and we won like the intercollegiate poker championships while I was there. You wouldn't think it'd be Brown, you'd think it'd be an MIT or maybe a Stanford, but it was Brown. And the lesson that you learn, or one lesson you learn from poker, is you don't need to win every hand. In fact, you won't win most hands in poker, right? And furthermore, other people can get very lucky, right? Like there's luck involved, right? There's a 1% chance they hit it, and boom, they hit that card that you didn't want to see, and then they win that hand. But you need to have confidence that, look, if I know that I'm running the right strategy or I have the right plan, then in the long run, I don't care about that one hand, right? What I make sure I care about is, am I running the right strategy? Because if I am, then in the long run, I'm going to be at the table for a long time, and I'm going to be winning in the long run, right? And the second analogy really comes from portfolio management, right? You have bonds and you have equities, right? Bonds are this risk-free asset. You know what you're going to get, nowadays, whatever it is, 3-4%. And stocks, much more risky. A lot of fluctuation, right? Big ups, big downs. But in the long run, you're a lot better off investing in stocks than you are in bonds, right? at least for American equities. And so what's the takeaway there? Well, the takeaway is if you can stomach greater risk and you have more risk appetite and you believe in the direction that you're going in, that you're making the right plan, the right strategy, then I don't care about the ups and the downs. What I care about is the long run, right? And we're willing to make that bet every single day.
That's awesome. And I think the key takeaway word that you used was confidence. And I have to say that is so pinnacle because it keeps you focused. If you're confident, you stay focused and therefore you can keep driving your mission forward. So that's excellent advice. If I was to ask you what's one mindset shift that unlocked new growth for you or your team, what would it be?
I think you kind of touched on it earlier, actually, when folks say, "Oh, we've never done this before," or I don't have any experience doing this. We have a this poster up in our office, and it's a tweet from Sam Altman. We work pretty closely with OpenAI. Sam, of course, is the CEO of OpenAI. He's also the CEO of Y Combinator, who's one of our major investors. And his tweet is it's very simple. It's you can just do things. Right? It's very casual. It's almost standoffish, but it's true, right? It really is. It's very simple. It's like you can just do things. If you want to, hit this sales target or this revenue target, figure out the way to do it, right? Like you are not bounded by the only thing you're really bounded by are the laws of physics. Like outside of that, there's nothing that says you can't hit that target. There exists a path to get there, right? It's just about making sure you make the right decisions on that path, right? There's a path where you close the largest deal in the company's history, next quarter, right? That multiverse or that parallel universe exists. Let's just make sure that universe is this universe, right? And
Right,
what
right.
decisions do you need to make to get there?
That's great. That's great. You also kind of reminded me of I listen to Mel Robbins a lot. I enjoy her podcasts, and one of the things that she talks about is the Nike ad, "Just Do It." And she goes, "What's the power word in that phrase?" And a lot of people that she interviewed would say, "Do" is the power word. And she says, "No, the power word is just do it. That's the trigger. Just like what's blocking you. Just do it. You can do it. Don't inhibit yourself." So again, I think a great golden nugget for our audience. Tell me about a time when a seemingly small cultural detail made a big impact on a deal or a hire or even a business decision.
We are absolutely obsessed over our customers to an arguably unhealthy extent. And that kind of customer centricity echoes itself not only in product and our engineers, and we hire some of the best engineers here in Silicon Valley. Our whole product team is based here in Silicon Valley, but also in the way that we sell. Right, we want to make sure that look, I didn't quit my job and start a company and raise $20 million just to build and sell a crummy piece of software, right? What we believe is this is going to be the future of certainly the future of staffing, the future of how people acquire talent in the future. I think most people don't realize how important the staffing industry is. It's really the backbone of the economy, right? How people get to work every day, right? Many people. And so we practice customer obsession daily. One thing we do, and I know we've talked a bit about this, is we have a book club internally where our folks are reading books or listening to audiobooks that we're designating that have often been written by our customers. So we actually have one here, right? That you're featured on, of course, prominently right in the back here, right? Where you have a part in, and like everybody at the company read it, right? Engineers read it, salespeople read it, the operations people read it. It's crucial to have that customer obsession when you want to build a strong company.
That's terrific, Aaron. First of all, that warms my heart that you had a copy of the book there and that the company read it. Customer obsession is a great thing, right? And I think that's where a lot of companies fail, is where they get focused on their own bottom line, their targets, and lose sight of what the end game is in that client acquisition and gaining that client's loyalty, where just as you're obsessed about them, you want them to be obsessed about you, which is a powerful, powerful statement. Okay, so let's have fun. We're going to do a couple of rapid fire questions, and I'm going to ask you like bizarre questions, but not that bizarre. But let's start with, what's the weirdest email subject line you've ever received or sent?
The weirdest one I received was, I was thinking about you in the shower.
Oh my God. Okay. I'm not sure we can unpack that one. So was that a sales call?
It was a sales outbound. I don't remember the tool, but it's, certainly not something that our SDRs are doing. But it stuck out as certainly a one to remember.
Absolutely. If your sales pitch had a theme song, what would it be?
The one for our sales team, not the pitch itself, would probably be "Lose Yourself" by Eminem. Losing yourself in your work and, trying to do the best work of your life here at this company. And then, yeah, I think that's, at least internally in the company.
That's a great song. Absolutely. Oh, actually, I might copy that from you too, Aaron. That's a good one. If you had to give yourself a completely ridiculous job title based on what you actually do all day, what would it be?
Chief Customer Obsession Officer.
Perfect. If you had to describe your career as a type of food, what would it be and why?
Probably Chipotle. I have a little bit of everything. My background is so I triple majored at Brown. I went to completed my master's during the 4 years I was there. Computational biology, applied math, economics, and then my master's was in computer science. And so, I, ever since I was in college, I did a little bit of everything. And then, at Alex, it's also a little bit of everything: product, engineering, sales, operations, whatever you need to move the business forward. It's kind of like a bowl of Chipotle. You got a little bit of everything.
Yeah, that's a good one. So I had a previous podcaster ask me what my food would be, and so I said lasagna. Okay, so yes, I'm Italian, so there's a natural fit there. But the reason why I picked lasagna, similar to the Chipotle, is the multiple layers. So the fact that it's not, it depends. You have like the multiple layers that compromise who you really are. But I love the Chipotle. Okay, so here we go. You have to close a deal, but the only way you can communicate is through emojis. What's your message?
Probably a bunch of rocket emojis, fire emojis, the up and to the right chart, and then probably the emoji of the guy with his like money sign faced out or something like that.
Okay. Oh my God. Okay. Excellent. Excellent emojis. Well, I have to say, Aaron, we're out of time. I really do appreciate our conversation. Look forward to having you a guest again and listening to the continued success of Alex II. So thank you so much.
Thank you. This was a lot of fun. Chat soon.
Thank you for listening to the Pass the Pitch podcast with Anna Frazzetto. Don't forget to subscribe and share. In our next episode, we talk to Adam Conrad on why recruiters need feedback too, and why small wins matter more than people think. See you then.